Hey, welcome everybody to Greater Life, Greater Impact. I am traveling and on the road, so I'm out of my element just a little bit, but thanks for being here. We got people joining from Canada, from Ohio, California, Indiana, Utah, Arizona, and they just keep pouring in. So awesome. Thank you for being here. I hope you guys come back. I hope you get value. Feel free to unmute your camera and your mic if you have something that you want to add, because I'm sure all of you have great perspectives and insights. I don't even know what I'm going to say today. So if you feel prompted to add to the conversation, please, by all means do. Just know that if you unmute your camera, you won't necessarily be on the YouTube replay. So don't worry about that. I'm the only one who can see you at this point because my camera's the only one pinned. Unless you want to be on the recording, that's fine too. All right. Today we have an awesome topic. This is episode 21 already of our sovereignty series. We're doing sovereignty, spiritual sovereignty all year this year because there's just so much to say and there's so many things that we can learn about being autonomous, spiritually autonomous, sovereign beings, but also no man is an island, right? So how do we balance autonomy and sovereignty with connection and companionship and relationship and interdependence instead of codependence? How do we do that? Well, I don't know. I am not the expert here and I'm not the guru here, but I think it's great for us to have these conversations and start talking about these things. My disclaimer, as always, is I am not your source of truth. Don't follow me to follow me. You can follow me to join community and build relationship and friendship. And I love that. And I love that you guys come here every week. And I love seeing your faces and I love hearing your voices. And I love the way that you contribute to these conversations that we have. I am not the teacher here. So please feel free to share. And I see that Anne already has something to share. Before we start the topic, let me just give the topic and then I'm going to turn it to you, Anne. So topic is for today is learn from God, not from man. God is your source of truth. God is your source of income. God is your source of everything, not human beings. So that is our topic. I'm going to have you take it away, Anne. Go for it.
Yeah, well, you got me all excited. I just wanted to share something when you said, don't follow me. And I did a whole talk on that because many years ago, there was a guru, Indian guru from India, Krishnamurti, J. Krishnamurti. Mm. And as I opened up his book, I opened to a page where he was speaking to a crowd. And those were the words he used, don't follow me. And of course, as soon as he said that, he had like 10,000 more people follow him, right? But the point he was trying to make is that I'm sharing this gift with you. I'm sharing these words with you, but I want you to find your own path, your own way of listening to that voice within yourself. So this is absolutely wonderful. I'm so excited about today. Thank you, Janet.
Thank you, Anne. That was a perfect segue into what we're talking about today. And I agree with that. I'm not here to build a following or a tribe or anything like that. I don't need people gathering around me, although I love your companionship and I love that you guys come and that you show up and that you contribute and that you share your stories and you share your thoughts and you share your impressions as we contribute in these discussions together. So yes, let's start. I want to start out with a question for you guys. Have you ever been in a situation where you thought you knew something? Like you thought you knew something was just absolutely true for you in your life. And then you learned a new piece of information and it completely shifted the whole paradigm for you. And you're like, well, I don't even know who I am anymore. I don't know what I am. I don't know where I am. I don't know what I believe anymore because now I have this added piece of information. And I'm finding that for me in my life, that the more that I journey on this path of seeking higher learning, seeking greater light and greater knowledge, the more that I learn stuff or hear stuff, the less I feel like I know that is absolute, because the perspective and the paradigm is constantly shifting and changing just a little bit. And so that can be kind of upsetting. And Lisa says that describes my past year and a half. Yeah, That describes most of my life, actually. I just have always felt like the more I learn, the less I know. And that's humbling, and it should be, because we don't know all things. We think we have it all figured out. We think we stand on absolutes. Whether it's in religion or culture or family or whatever it might be, wherever you might be learning your learnings from. Let's see, trying to think where to start first. Okay, yeah, my question was, have you ever learned something or thought you knew something, and then you gained a new perspective or a new piece of information came in, and then suddenly your whole world is different? You can look at religious text. You can look at history books. You can look at textbooks for universities and places of higher learning. And even the information that we think is concrete and absolute in some of these places, all writing on the planet has been tainted by human hands. It's been tainted by human perception, human filter, sometimes agendas from people who edit things or twist things or change things around or take stuff out so that they prevent you from knowing a bigger picture or seeing a bigger truth. And so we should be aware of that. And so how do we protect ourselves from being so deceptively manipulated by human filters and human agendas and human design? How do we protect ourselves from that? Well, you go to God and not to man to learn the perspectives that you need, because you might have a perspective of truth that is specifically for what you need on your path at your perfect time, that might look a little different than the perspective that I have that I need for my journey. It doesn't necessarily mean we have two different truths. It just means there are two perspectives. So I'm going to do a share screen. I want to share with you something that I had so much fun laughing over this morning, because I went and did a little bit of research and had a blast. So I'm going to share my screen. Hold on, I got to figure out which one. Give me a sec. There's that. There's that. Okay. How do I do this? Yeah, we're going to go into present mode. Here we go. Sorry, novice here. Okay. We apologize, but this facility is out of order. Sorry for any incontinence this may cause. Do you see how just one word, maybe even a couple of letters, changed the whole meaning of this message? College View, State School for the Severely Handicapped State of Missouri. If there's no punctuation or no commas in that sentence, you can take that a couple of different ways, right? Tables are for eating customers only. Or you could say tables are for eating customers only, right? Like punctuation matters, pauses matter. It matters where the pauses show up in the communication. Let's do another one. We're going to learn to cut and paste kids. Commas matter. Buy bed free, one night stand. That's the one I laughed so hard about this morning. That's so funny. Commas matter, and words matter. Best sausage supper, best sausage supper in St. Louis. Come and eat Pastor Thomas Wrestler. Use commas, people. Quiet birds have ears. Anne's laughing. Tips to help prevent headaches after you die. I think they forgot the T. I'm not sure. Now open, try our gluten-free new owner. Are you sure you want to exist? I think that's supposed to say exit. This was a list of symptoms. Unable to eat, diarrhea. Wow. Well, I think I would be unable to do that too. Here's where a comma really would have been helpful. Cows, please close gate. Oh, okay. So that's that. I'm going to stop the screen share, but do you
I,
guys?
I'm sorry, but I can't stop laughing. This is hilarious.
Yeah.
As you know me, Janet, to me, walking this path of spirituality, it's just my humor is even more so. And thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
I
God
needed that.
has a sense of humor.
Yes.
Mm. But can you see how just changing where the pauses are, where the punctuation is, where a sentence stops or begins, where a letter maybe gets flipped, changes the whole message. And that can be funny too, but it can also be like can take a human group of people way off the trajectory of what really is meant by the message. So just remember when you read anything on the earth right now has been tainted by human hands. You need to know that. You cannot just read anything and blindly accept it as, oh, this is absolute truth because the history book said so, or the research said so, or somebody's diary said so, or the Bible said so. You don't know what parts have been changed. You don't know where the pauses or the commas need to be. You don't know where the letters or the words have been altered. Okay, so we're going to jump into, and feel free to add, because I know you guys have things that I'm going to miss, because I was very scatterbrained this morning and I was trying to put this together last night. And I'm sure I've missed tons of things, but I'm sure that this will be a good starting place for you to come up with your own way of discerning truth and getting it straight from source instead of from man. It's okay to read books. It's okay to read the Bible. It's okay to go to church. It's okay to participate in what philosophies are flying around. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But at the end of the day, the onus is on you. The onus is on you to determine whether or not you got it right, whether or not you discerned it right, whether or not you heard it right, whether or not it even is right. I see all of these camps. I don't know if you guys see this too, but I see all of these different mindset or philosophy camps popping up all over on the internet. Like, oh, I'm reading or I'm understanding history in a different way, and this is how it really happened. And then there's another group going, no, it isn't. This is how it really happened. And then there's another group over here going, no, it isn't. This is how it really happened. This is what they were doing. This is what they were thinking. And before you know it, you're like, I am so confused. I don't even know what to think anymore. I don't know what to believe anymore. I don't even know what's true anymore. And it's happening all over the planet in all kinds of systems of thinking on the planet. Anne says it reminds me of the movie The Life of Brian. Go watch it. That is a funny movie. History is written by the winners. That's true. That's really good. Okay, so I put together 7 or 8 different principles that I felt like, for me at least anyways, as I'm on my spiritual journey and my spiritual path, things that have really, I think, helped me to develop myself spiritually as I'm seeking God's voice, as I'm trying to seek for clarity. I'm trying to seek for wisdom. I'm trying to seek for what is God's will for me? What's the highest will for me so I can do that? And I guarantee you that once you start seeking that, buckle up, because God's will for you might look very different than what the rest of the gang in the world is doing. And that's okay. It's perfectly okay. Principle number 1. You guys, I say this all the time. I say it when we're in mentoring calls together. I say it when we're in classes together. You're going to get so sick of hearing it. It's all over in my quantum healing certification course. It's everywhere in there. Remember the 3 C's. CCC. Clear your space. Clear your space. Turn the TV off. Put your telephone away. Put all of the outside noise away. Go find a space of solitude where you can hear and where you can listen. Kick out all the dark, gunky, heavy, interfering energy. Whether that's coming from this side of the veil or the other side of the veil, I don't care how you do it. Find a way to clear your space. Number 2, sometimes even just cleaning up the mess in your room, or finding a place that is kind of all put together for you so that you can think clearly and you can sort your thoughts. The second C, so C1 is clear space, C2 is clean your vessel. What does that mean? It means if you're feeling anxiety or stress or panic or worry or fear or doubt or anger or bitterness or shame or guilt or any of those, it's probably going to get in the way. It's not going to prevent you from hearing God's voice. It will not prevent you, but it kind of might be gunky and bog down your ability to have clarity. So at the very minimum, relax your body, breathe, get into your body, bring some oxygen in that space and clear out your inner space until you find a place of inner peace. Okay, to the best of your ability. You don't have to be perfect about it, but clear space, clean your vessel, then communicate. I had an amazing experience years ago where I had the house to myself for the weekend. Ellie, thank you for sharing that. Clear space, clean your vessel, communicate. Had the house to myself for the weekend. I had this to-do list 10 miles long, and I was so excited to have some free time, alone time, so I could get some stuff done. And as I closed the door on my family that went camping, and I had other things I was doing, closed the door, went to sit down in my office, and within 10 minutes, I was overwhelmed with sleepiness. Like I was so tired and so sleepy, I just could hardly keep my eyes open. And I was like, I got stuff to do. I don't have time for this. And so I tapped in, I went into center, and I immediately heard the voice inside from God say, go take a nap. I was like, do you see what's on my plate? I have so little time and I've got to get all these things done. I don't have time for napping. I just got up. And the Lord's like, go take a nap. So I went into my room. Before my head hit the pillow, I heard, clear your space. So actually, I was kind of feeling some anxiety. So I did some casting out. I also just kind of cleaned up the room, decluttered and tidied things up so that I could feel more at peace in the room that I was in. And then as I laid down again, I heard, clean your vessel. And to me, that meant come into center, get grounded, get rooted, get stable, get centered. I already said that. But so I kind of went into the body, went into the stillness, went into my higher self. And Karen says, sleepy feeling happens to me all the time. Yes. Take naps. If you're being told to take a nap. It'll be life-changing, because this was for me. And I now know that when that sleepy feeling comes on and God's telling me to take a nap, I know that he's probably got something important to say. And he can only say it to me when I'm still, when I've shut my brain down. So, and I had a lot of things I needed to work through and think through that day. I had things I had to process, stuff I had to get done, and I just needed that awake, conscious time to do it. So I was worried about taking a nap. I was like, I don't got time for that. And anyways, I went to sleep and cleared my space, cleaned my vessel, took a nap. I napped for maybe 15 minutes. And then all of a sudden I was awakened. And I felt the presence of God in my room, standing at the foot of my bed. And he said, get out a pen and a paper. And literally, my mind just started flowing with thoughts and ideas and inspiration and potential. So I started writing, and I wrote 10 pages worth of stuff that was really pertinent to me and what I was working on. It literally, in about an hour's time, sitting there just writing it all out as it's flowing through me. I half the stuff that I needed to do that day, I didn't even have to do. I just went and spent the rest of the day enjoying my day because I was able to work through the processes in a much more efficient way or use of my time. Okay. So the 3 C's, remember that. In fact, this is why I'm traveling. Father told me to take 40 days in the wilderness and go get your head clear and go be still. And so I'm staying with a friend, and I've already less than a week into this journey of fasting and praying and seeking God's voice. I'm already receiving so much clarity and so much peace and so much intuition and instruction and revelation is just flowing because I set the intention. I created that space for that to happen, and now it's happening. I think it's probably why Christ did the same thing, was constantly going off in solitude to be on his own so that he could clear space, clean his vessel, and then communicate with Father. Principle number 2 is seek upon a principle, something that you want to know about, something that you want clarity on, something that you want to understand better. What do you want to understand and not just know about? Because there's a difference. There's a huge difference. Seeking for understanding rather than just seeking for information, those are two different things. So seek upon a principle of learning so that you can gain understanding and wisdom. What do you want to know about? What do you need more light and knowledge on? What will help you move forward in your life? What perspectives have you always wondered about? What things in history that boggle your mind have you always wanted to receive higher perspectives on so that you can make final judgments as far as what to do with the information? How is this going to serve you? Only God can give you this. You can read until your face is blue. You can watch documentaries until you're sick of them. You can read books. You can listen to people. You can follow people till you can't take it anymore. Have you noticed all the noise in the world? All the chatter. How do you rise above that? Only God can give you that. So how do we do that? We have to ask good questions. We have to ask, we have to seek, we have to knock, we have to prepare the space, like I said earlier. So let's get good at asking good questions. I had the Lord come to me one time and I said to him in the vision, wow, this is amazing. Why are you here? What are you here to teach me? And the response was, what do you want to know? I don't have a clipboard and an agenda with boxes to check. Like, okay, Janet, here's your instruction for the day. No, that's not how the divine operates. You have to come to them with good questions. What do you want to learn? What do you want to understand? Where do you need wisdom? Where does God need to shine light in your life? Because it's going to be different for you than it is for me or anybody else. Okay. You also have to be open-minded. You have to have an open heart and an open mind and be willing to have your paradigms shattered. That's terrifying. Be willing to know that sometimes God's going to give you a piece of information that's going to shift the perspective over here a little bit, and you're going to see things from a different vantage point, and you're going to go, I don't even know what's true anymore. I don't know where I am anymore. I don't know who I am anymore. But really what's happening is you might have a piece of truth. You might have a little piece of truth, but it might be caked with your own filters and your own judgments and your own beliefs and programming from other people and culture and society and religion, and all of that might be kind of caked around your little piece of truth. And then you start asking questions and God expands that truth, and now it looks different. And you're like, oh my gosh, I've been lied to. Well, maybe you haven't been lied to, but maybe your perspective has expanded a little bit and now you're seeing it different. It's like seeing a city from deep in the center of the city and all you see is people and buildings and smog versus being in an airplane and seeing it from high above. They're two totally different perspectives and they look like two totally different things, two totally different environments. Okay, someone's asking what was number 1? Number 1 was CCC, clear space, clean your vessel, communicate. Number 2, seek a principle of learning by asking good questions. That's number 2. Karen says, oh yes, we all have been lied to. Yeah, in some ways. But the onus is on you to go figure out what the true perspective really is. Do you want the higher up perspective, or do you want to be in the thick of everything in the city and being kind of controlled by the, the system? Or would you rather be floating above it where God lives and see it from a different angle? Okay. So if you're going to do that, you're going to have to be willing to have a little bit of your paradigms or the way you think it's supposed to be. Karen says, I want truth. Yeah, I do too. Then be willing to have the way you think it works be shattered. I see all these people standing on their hill of this is how it works. This is how it happened. This is what it is. This is, all these documentaries and things coming out. And they are not the source of truth. They might be giving you good data, but they are ultimately not the source. Charisse, go ahead. You're muted.
Sorry. I always like to, I always kind of go back to that little book that's The Wise Men and the Elephant. I don't know if any of you have ever read that one, where it talks about the wise men and how they were all blind. They lived in the palace and they'd never seen an elephant before.
Yeah.
And so they had one of the servants bring an elephant, and they all grabbed a piece or portion of the elephant, and they would fight over what an elephant looked like. But none of them could see; they could just feel, right? So they, the one that had a hold of the leg, he said an elephant is like a tree, and the one that's had a hold of the tail, he said no, an elephant is like a rope. And another one had a part of his, had the trunk, and he said no, an elephant is like a snake. And then another one had the ear. Oh no, an elephant is like a leaf. They went on and on and on about how, and all they could see was what they were grasping. That was the only thing, and they couldn't even see it. It's what they could feel. So in the end, were they all wrong?
No.
They all had a portion of the truth. So when people give you their truth, it is true. It is their perception of the truth. So a lot of times when I work on clients, or when I am diving into something myself, I usually just stop and ask for God's version of the truth, because my perception is also different from everyone else's. So it's how we see things, how we perceive it. The truth is a whole elephant.
Mm-hmm.
But so I don't know. I just always think about that, and that's usually what I when I ask for that, it opens up a whole new perception, and you can see so much clearer. So it's just one thing that I kind of routinely do. God, show me your perception of this situation, and how can I help this individual? And I'm shown things that, certain things will come to light that were not seen before. So anyways, that's just what I do.
Yeah. And it's also doing that gives you the ability to hold space for where somebody else is at in their journey, specifically for them. And their truth isn't wrong, like you said. God's ways are not man's ways. So we have to have an open heart and an open mind, and be willing to have your paradigm shift or shattered. Even sometimes it will shatter, and you'll feel like, I don't know where to stand anymore. And that's okay. You're preparing fertile ground for you to be able to be open to receiving a bigger truth, or an expanded view, or a different vantage point. That's all it is. But be willing to let God teach you. Okay, we spent way too much time on number 2. Number 3, I've got to move to a different book. Number 3, that leads us to the taking action. So one of the ways that we can solidify knowledge, wisdom, truth when we're seeking for understanding, how do we solidify it? We have to experience it to whatever degree that we can and are ready. So you have to take action. And when you take action, what it does is it activates the principle. Whatever principle that you've asked about, remember how number 2, come up with good questions. Seek upon a principle. When you act upon what you're given, you activate that principle, and now you're primed and ready for pure knowledge and wisdom. That's how God teaches, is he gives us experience. Have you ever noticed that, oh, I intellectually knew this thing, or this thing. I knew about sacrifice. I knew all about it. I've read and studied and learned, and I know all the scriptures. But then when you finally are called upon in your life to sacrifice something, it takes on a whole new meaning, right? And same thing is with coming to know God, coming to know another person even. Through just reading and studying about that person is very different than talking to that person on the phone, having a conversation. And that's very different than standing in their physical presence and being face to face, soul to soul, communicating in that way. It's very different experiences. So action is what activates the learning, activates the principle. And when you act on what you're given, you learn things at deeper levels than you could have before just by hearing or seeing or reading, if that makes any sense at all. It's deeper levels of light and knowledge, because experience is what actually teaches you wisdom and knowledge and truth. And if you haven't experienced something because you haven't acted on something that God's been teaching you, then you have no business judging it as absolute or not, because you haven't experienced it. So you can't judge it. You can't judge it completely. I mean, you can judge it to a degree. That was number 3, action. Number 4 is be aware. Oh, Karen, go ahead before I go into number 4. You go ahead.
I just wanted to say that for me, I just realized that taking action also activates creativity. Because when you don't do anything, you just keep thinking in the sense of, I can't do it, I don't have enough money to do it or whatever. But you start taking action and then things start opening up.
Yes, I agree with that. That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Okay. Hold on. Let me remove pin. There we go. Sometimes we can get blocked. That's number 4, is we've got to find ways to remove the blocks. So one of the things that prevents us from seeing truth in a bigger picture is we might have trauma around some of the elements that are trying to come through and teach us. And so if we have trauma around some of those elements, we're going to block it. We're going to push it away. It's going to be a stumbling block to us. No pun intended. Well, no pun intended. Anyways, so we have to be in a place where we can remove those blocks, let down those walls and those barriers if you really want to know truth. Otherwise, if you want to stay asleep, that's fine too, because we can't handle all truth about all things right now. So if it's necessary for you to still stay asleep on a principle or on something, that's fine. That's fine. Those are veils. Those are filters. And we can only handle removing veils bits at a time as we're ready. So if somebody is veiled, if somebody is, I'm not going to say deceived, but if they're blocked by trauma or wounds or PTSD from the pains of the past, and so therefore they can't be open to this truth, that's fine. That's where they're at. Give them that space. Give them some grace. We can't all know all things all at once. And we don't all have the same pieces to the puzzle, like the men with the elephants, okay? What else was I going to say about that? So trauma is what can block us from knowing truth. So if you really are on a trajectory where you feel like, no, this is a truth that I need to pursue, this is something I need to understand, maybe hire a coach, get some help, do some healing, do your inner work to try to resolve the trauma bonds, resolve the PTSD or the unresolved energy and information inside of you so that you can be open to a new perspective, and it's not going to be super triggering for you based on the way you've experienced the world through trauma. if that makes any sense. The Lord will always, how do I word this? Is always going to guide you out of your comfort zone. Always. So be prepared for that. When you seek for greater light and greater learning, buckle up. There's responsibility, and God will always guide you out of your comfort zone, out of boxes, out of the boat. Think of what he did with Peter. He had Peter step out of the boat. It was comfortable in the boat. It was safe in the boat. You didn't have to do anything. Just had to row. But the Lord's like, no, get out of the boat. Come to me. Or sell all that you have and follow me. Or let your whole life go. Your family, your home, your children, your everything. Let everything go and follow me. Could you do it? So that's number 4 is letting go of blocks. Kareen, go ahead. I see you have a comment.
Hey, yeah, thanks. I just was thinking about how you put that, and what I've learned from my truth, from coming from a place of um having this heart of just wanting to help people, and not in a desperate way, but just feeling so much love, and how can I help? Each one I come in contact to or contact with. And I, for many years have been like, Heavenly Father, please just put me in the places that you want me to be, and help me to be your vessel, and say and share hope and love and light. Um, but within the last couple of months, angle of it that I have come to realize that's really important is, even though if I'm welled up with all this truth and knowledge and light, there's an element of needing to be sure that that you have permission from that other person to share what you think, or you're really feeling like they could really use that knowledge, right? Because I don't know, I just think that element of permission is extremely important. And I didn't realize how important, because I was kind of in this paradigm of like, well, even though it's true for me, not necessarily it must be true for everybody, but everybody's in the space where they want to know. So like, what's wrong with me just, giving this information in a loving space? And then I was getting this unexpected reaction sometimes from people, where they were becoming maybe offended, and I'm like, whoa, 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 I'm coming from love, like there shouldn't be any issue here. And that's where I kind of realized, whoa, I got to slow down and say, like, do you mind if I share my truth with you? Because I think that takes a lot of the pressure from them. I don't know, almost hearing it as like, well, you should, even though that's not the way that I've been saying it. I'm careful with my words, Does that make sense? Hopefully.
Yeah, I love that. That makes perfect sense. And, sometimes your truth is not for everybody. It might be triggering for people. It might not be where they're at. And so it takes a level of discernment to figure out, is this even a truth that will benefit them? Or is it just going to condemn them or trigger them or make them feel detached or what's the word? Separate from me. And
Right.
so having some discernment in whether or not I should share what I know to be true is also a huge element to this, I think. Thank you for adding that.
Yeah. And also I think just that question then, okay, Heavenly Father, if I get the go ahead, or, from my higher self, whoever, it's like, okay, how do I best word this to help how they can receive it? So yeah.
I think what you're talking about, Kareen, is the art of meeting people where they are. And the best way to do that is do your own inner work first. You work on you first. Don't work on helping other people yet until you're in a good place and you've done your inner work. Then what you can do is go seek to see people, to see them, to hear them, to understand them, to love them, without judging them and without needing to put upon that or give them advice. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes we think, oh, I have this learning, I should tell this to everybody. Well, look at me, I'm doing that. I'm
But
doing that in this class.
I think the biggest difference, because you're right, like I've done so much work, and I've seen it work in my life, but I think that's part of my wording that I found that's so important is like when I'm sharing with someone, I'm saying, hey, I saw how life-changing this was for me.
Yeah.
And that gives so much weight, I think, in their eyes that, oh, they're not just spewing things they think about, but oh, it worked for her for some reason, you know?
Yes. Yes. Charisse, go ahead. You're muted.
Sorry. I can't figure out how to unmute myself. Takes me a few minutes. I have learned that when so just about what you were saying, the person before me that was talking, I can't remember your name. I'm sorry, but
Corrine.
Green, thank you. When you I've had similar experiences with that you know when you see things so clearly, or when you have this, you know, big miraculous healing experience and you're able to move through your stuff and you just feel amazing and you want to go and share it with other people. And I mean, most of the people on here, I'm sure you all have different spiritual gifts, and that's why you're here. And you know, you can sense things about people. You sometimes you just know things and you don't even know how you know, but you know. But what I have learned is that number one, when you ask for the spirit of discernment to be with you, or that gift, ask for the added measure of the gift of the spirit of discernment, the ability to discern between what people are needing. Some people really, really like their issues and their stuff, and they have to move through it on their own. And even within the healing community, like my modalities that I have learned don't jive with some people, and they can't stand and they get really triggered by the things, my abilities and talents and gifts that I have. So I've learned that not everybody wants to be healed.
Yeah.
Not everybody wants to have those wonderful miraculous experiences. And you know what? Some people do, but it's got to be on their own terms, or they're the ones that are in charge of their own healing. So
Oh, that's so true.
I have learned that, you know what, it's okay to just step back and let them do their own thing.
Yeah.
And let them, because, you know, yeah, it's everyone has their agency. And yes, when you're, you know, have these wonderful experiences, you just want to share it with the whole world, you know.
Yep.
But not everybody's ready for it. So
Yeah, it comes back to that art.
and
of
sometimes
meeting.
you just have to be okay with that.
Yeah, meeting people where they are, and
Yeah.
and if you're going to do that, you have to get out of yourself, and you have to come into a place where you can see people and hear them and meet them at in their space. Not really a level, because we're not at levels. We're just in different spaces, different phases of learning, different paths for growing and ascending. Okay, so number 3 was take action. We spent a lot of time on number 3. Let's move to number 4. Number 4 is follow through. When you take action, be willing to follow through. God's always going to guide you out of the boat. He's going to guide you out of your comfort zone, but do it anyways. Follow through, because God's direction for you, the only way that you will ever know whether or not you got it right, is to act and follow through, and then look back and go, okay, what were the fruits? Were these good fruits? Did I get it right? Does it feel in alignment? So, but when you start doing this and you start following through and you start acting on what you're learning, buckle up, because God has a tendency to pull us out of stagnant belief systems and cultures and places where there's groupthink. And when you get pulled out of groupthink because God's giving you a bigger perspective, you're going to be shamed and shunned and shushed. You just are. It's okay. It's a part of the process. It's just what human beings do when one of the crabs gets out of the bucket. They're like, no, you don't. Get back in here so you can suffer with the rest of us. This is how it works. And you're like, no, there's a different perspective. No, get back in the bucket, or we're never talking to you again, or we can't be friends, right? Okay, that's number 4. Number 5 kind of has to do with number 1, which was CCC, clear space, clean your vessel, communicate. Number 5, you really need to take a break. Corrine says they get all crabby. Yes, they do get crabby. When you rise, when you elevate, when you ascend, people get crabby, and they think it's their job to fix you or help you not be deceived or bring you back into the fold, whatever it is, right? Unplug. That's number 5. Take a break. Take a break. Corrine, you taught me this yesterday. You sent me this text that was amazing. And where's my phone? Because I was going to read it. Oh, I have it. Here it is. Take a break from digging deeper, from living in the stretch zone. Go do something that brings you joy. Go take a nap. Go for a walk. Growth requires rest. You're not an endless fixer-upper. You are beautiful, whole, and worthy right now. Let yourself soften into this moment. Isn't that beautiful? So as I've been on my 40-day in the wilderness journey and really doing all this inner work and trying to hear the voice of God and trying to receive, doing all this work, trying to communicate with heaven, I've been spending time with a friend here where I'm at, and I just needed this solace, this space where I could just come and hibernate for a little bit so I can get clear. But yet we went out to lunch yesterday and we had turned the stereo up all the way, listening to rap music, singing in the car, being as silly and as weird and as funny as we possibly could. It was just a time to just unplug from the digging and the working and the inner work, just to be fun and playful and silly. It's about going, as Lisa Lancaster, she did a class with me. You guys can go look it up. It's about being your true self. But she taught me how to jump on my bed. And I'm telling you, jumping on my bed changed my life. It filled me with joy and bliss and taught me that being playful and being fun and having a sense of humor and letting your hair down and letting your guard down and doing things you wouldn't normally do. I didn't grow up listening to rap music. I don't really enjoy that kind of thing. That's not really on my playlist, but doing it with this friend, that's her element. That's what she enjoys. Crank it up and listen to the bass. And we did that. And it was so fun. And it changed my life because I realized, oh, I need to hang out with you more. This is really fun. Okay, Karen says, I've had to remind myself not to feel guilty for taking a break and resting when there's so much on my list. Anne says, yes, I used to jump on the bed with my kids. I know, right? Me too. And it's fun. So find a way to be playful, find a way to take a break, find a way to just unplug from the seriousness, because life doesn't have to be serious. You can make fun of yourself. It's okay. That's number 5. Sorry, that's number 6. Sorry. Was unplug. Number 7, open your heart. I will give you a handout. Don't worry about the numbers. Don't worry about the concepts. I'll give you a handout when you watch the YouTube replay. 7 is open up your heart. We talked about opening our minds and being willing to see things in a new way. Open up your heart and connect with people. I think this is really a vital piece. Like Corrine was telling us, it's important to see people, hear people, minister to people, reach out to people, connect with people, but not in a way that you're projecting or barfing your knowledge up onto others, but in a way where you can see them where they're at and just meet them there and exist in that space without the need to fix or necessarily help. Because when you notice something wrong in somebody's life, or when you notice a problem in someone else, you've just judged it. You've just judged them, and now you have it. And now you are the problem. So you got to go inside, clear that up, clean that up, see them as perfectly made, perfectly designed, and then let the Spirit direct based on spending time in their space, seeing them, hearing them, knowing them, and meeting them where they are. Use discernment. Some people will embrace you on your ascension journey, and some people will feel the need to push away or fall away. Some people you might have to disconnect from. Some people you might have to push away a little bit, just for your own sanity and your own safety and your own, to have that space so that so that you aren't tethered to other people's fears, other people's drama, other people's trauma bonds and their wounds and their fears of wanting to hold you back when you know you're supposed to fly and ascend. Okay. Open your heart and connect with people that are a match vibrationally with where you want to go. That's a really important step. Open your heart and be open to connecting vibrationally with people who are a vibrational match to you. You've got to take the time to spend time in other people's presence that align with where you are. It's your people. Find your people and spend some time with them, because it'll help elevate you out of the heaviness of those around you that are trying to pull you back into the bucket. Okay. Number 8, let go. This is a really important step. Oh, I missed your comment, Kareen. Hold on one second. Let me pin you and then go ahead, unmute.
Thanks. I just wanted to say, talking about paradigm shifts and just what you were saying, I won't go into detail. It's not necessary, but for my journey, my ex-husband now, and I met when I was 15, almost 16, and he was 17. And we were best friends, and we had such an amazing relationship for so many years, 20 years. And then probably the last 5, things really started to shift, and it hurt and it was painful, and so many things I didn't understand why. And now looking back, I have clearer vision. But even through it, I remember feeling like it's okay, our paths have just diverged. And part of me was like, no, how can this be? We were best friends and da 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 da, right? But realizing now, looking and seeing, like, yeah, I was ascending. We just kind of outgrew each other, and that's okay. And yeah, it's hurtful because kids are involved, and paradigm shift, like, what? We were sealed in the temple. How can this be? Because of course, being so young too, I thought, oh, we're sealed, we're safe, we have a bubble around us, so Satan can't get to us, or bad forces, whatever. Yeah, not so much the actual reality in our case, but that's okay, and I have full peace, and we're becoming friends after a really rocky time. So yeah, paradigms definitely can shift and rock your world, but
Yeah, they can. And you'll notice that if there are people in your life that are not vibrationally a match anymore, like you ascend and now that person is not a vibrational match to you anymore, something will happen, or you might have to take action to step away, or they will fall away naturally. Friendships will kind of ebb and flow. People come in and out of your life based on where you're at vibrationally. And you will attract people into your life. People will come and go in and out of your life vibrationally based on where you grow. And so if you ascend, but they don't, you're in a different space. Now there's this dissonance, and it's not going to feel good. You're going to feel some things off, right? Okay. Number 8, in preparing and learning these principles for setting yourself up to learn to hear God and not men, and not follow the traditions and societal cultural programming and this is how it works, and this is how we're all supposed to behave, and this is what you do. And instead of that, to be taught from on high and to learn to listen to God's voice instead of men's voice. We have to be willing to let go of the old. We have to be willing to let things pass away. We have to be willing to step into a new understanding, into a new paradigm. Lisa says, I wish there was a way to physically measure vibration. Oh, there is. Your body. Your body is the perfect tool for measuring vibration. With, when you step into a room where people have been arguing, especially if it's like a husband and a wife, or the kids have been in contention, you can feel the vibe. There's a definite vibe going on. Or when you connect with someone where there's like dissonance in their relationship, and you can feel that vibe. Or if you know that someone is really, really, really sad or down or depressed or fearful, you can feel the vibe. Those vibes, we put off vibes that are not, it's not a secret. We're broadcasting out daily. So our bodies are the perfect barometer for determining what the vibe is. You've got to learn to sense and feel, and that takes body awareness. What's happening in my body? What am I feeling? Where am I feeling that? Okay. Being willing to let go of what you think, being willing to let go of what you think you know, based on programming from your past, being willing to let go of what you think you need or want. What if God has something better in mind for you? Being willing to let go of the human programs that run us on autopilot, that make us think, oh, this is we're in a maze, like a rabbit or not rat in a maze, right? Just kind of going along to get along, going along because I'm trying to get to the end. We don't have to live our life that way. Letting go of the human programming that does not match Father's will for you. So go figure out how to find out what God's will is for you. Move in that trajectory. Figure out what the fruits are going to be. I mean, by acting, right? And then let go of the rest. Be willing to let go of what you think it's supposed to be. That's ego. Toby Lynn, go ahead.
One of the things that I just want to say with this part, I remember several times going through mind shifts. When my mind shifts, it feels like vertigo. I feel like I'm going to fall over. And at first I think, okay, what's happening? And then it's like, just a minute, I'm having a perception shift. And just being willing to allow our minds to shift and, like you say, let go. Because at first I thought I was losing my mind. And I remember one time I had such a shift in me that I had to lay down on the ground and ground with Mother Earth, with the earth, because I was having such a shift that I thought I was getting dementia, Parkinson's. I really was shifting. And I know that it scared me, and it was like, what the heck? However, as I understand that when we have a mind shift, there's a literal shift that happens in our whole equilibrium in our body. And being okay with that. And as we know that, then we can allow ourselves to just go through the process. And sometimes it's taking me a day or two to get my mind back in where I felt comfortable. However, it definitely took me by surprise when it first happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oftentimes people who are in a growth phase, and they're ascending and they're rising and they're elevating and they're learning and growing, and they're seeking for more light and more truth and more wisdom. If it's happening a lot and to a large degree, you'll get migraines. I was just going to say that. Thanks, Corrine. You'll get migraines. You'll have body aches. You'll get sick. You might go down. You might have to spend some time in bed, and give your body the rest that it needs. That's why I said unplug for a little bit. Go play. Go do something to get your mind off it, and then come back to it later, because your body needs time to catch up. So with 1 minute left in the class, I want to try to keep these to an hour mark, but can everybody just take a big breath in and get into their bodies? I want you to notice what it feels like in your body to take in these concepts that we've discussed today. Where are you blocked about it? in my journey, and as I've been praying and fasting and trying to discover what's God's will for me, what is God's highest will for me, I've been asking questions about what does it look like to be fully embraced by God, fully walking with God, yoked to God. What does that look like and feel like? And I said, what lack I yet, Father? What do I need? What do I need to still give up or let go of? And he said, everything. Give me everything. Leave nothing on the table. Just give it all to me. And it's not that God is greedy or jealous, even though the scriptures say that he's jealous. He's not greedy or jealous. He wants to be able to fully and completely guide you to joy. God's highest will for you is joy. Pure, non-limited, unconditional joy and love and bliss. He wants that for you. But he can't give you that until you have a perfect relationship of trust with him. And there can't be anything that you're clinging to between you and God that you aren't willing to let go of. You have to give everything. Then he will sanctify it and start giving those things back when you're sovereign, but not before you're sovereign. We shouldn't cling to anything that's not healthy, right? That's not in our best interest, because clinging will lead to codependency. And what we want, what God wants for us, is sovereignty and autonomy. Then we can be interdependent with people rather than codependent, like needing, yearning, pleading, wanting, right? That neediness. When you're sovereign, there is no neediness. It's gone. Okay. Everybody get into your body. Take a big, deep breath in. Let it out. Close your eyes and go into your center. Drop your shoulders just a little bit. See if you can relax your muscles and the tension, letting go, letting go, letting go. And breathe and soften. And let the stillness inside of you come to you. Let it step forward. Take some big, deep breaths in, going into your center. Put your awareness inside of your heart for a minute. I know we always go to the base of the spine, that's where safety and stability and security lives, but in your heart, this is where God speaks. In the heart, in the mind, thoughts to the mind, feelings to the heart. So I just want you to go into the stillness of your heart for a moment. And I would love for you to come up with one. I know you have millions, but come up with one good question just for today. What is your one question for God today? God, show me this. God, show me that. God, teach me this. God, teach me that. What is it? What is it what principle would you like to have an expanded knowing about? And as you go into that center and as you go into the stillness inside of your heart and breathe and soften, drop your shoulders a little bit, relax your face even more. I'm going to have you just kind of put your hands up like this or out like this. Go into some sort of a receiving position. You can even go out like this. Go into a receiving position and just ask. Just ask. And then go into the stillness. As you go into that stillness, notice, what do you feel? What do you think? What do you sense? What do you see? Is there a little movie coming up? Are there colors, shapes, symbols, metaphors, smells, sounds? Just receive. So what I'm going to have you do is plug the right nostril on the inhale and receive in through the left side, the intuitive side. On the exhale, reverse it. And let it go out the right nostril. And then on the inhale, reverse. Breathing into the left, breathing out of the right. Do that a couple of times, just receiving, receiving, and then just open yourself up again. Receive some more. Could you show me more? And just pretend that you can see. And if you can't see anything in your imagination, ask, could you please show me? Show me what this looks like. Show me a different vantage point that will be most beneficial for where I'm at. Thank you for my learning. Thank you for your perspectives. Thank you for the further light and knowledge. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Just go into gratitude. Breathe that gratitude deep into your body. Drop your shoulders on the exhale and just let go of all the gunk that's holding you back. All the programs, all the trauma, all the wounds, all the filters, all the judgments, the emotions, the beliefs. Let it go. Going deeper into that stillness. Relax your jaw and your face. Relaxing, relaxing, and just receive. So if you read something, if you learned something, if you watched something, you could say, God, could you give me your perspective on this? What am I missing? What am I judging inappropriately? And can you teach me the way you see it? Where have I missed the mark? It's okay to read books. It's okay to watch shows. It's okay to listen to music. It's okay to listen to rap. It's okay to consult with people. It's okay to get advice. It's okay. All the data that you're getting from all the places, that's fine. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But always tap in and check in and ask God, is this your highest truth? And is there more? Are there pieces I need to let go of? If so, what would that be? Are there pieces that don't feel right? That there's something like when I think about it, I just get this, like it just sort of wrenches or it stops the flow. What parts feel like they throw a wrench into the machine and stops the flow? What pieces feel out of alignment? What pieces don't sit right with you? Where does it feel off? Those are the questions. Those are the things that you can ask questions about. God, will you please show me your perspective? Will you add more light to what I think I know? Because the truth is, I don't know nothing. I don't have God's complete vantage point yet. I'm just stumbling around in the dark down here, trying to do the best that I can with what I've got. And all I've got is discernment and intuition and my heart. Where is your heart guiding you? What is your heart telling you? And does that feel like God's truth? Or does it feel like something's off? And if something's off, what is it? Where is it? And how can you shift the perspective so that you can know from a better angle, a better vantage point, in order for you to ascend and progress and be a better version of you so that you can serve and love and come from a place of compassion for others. That's the whole point of this game. Is how can I be more love? How can I be more myself? How can I be more guided by the divine? How can I be more compassionate? How can I be more love in this world and bring more light into the situations that I'm in? How can I do that? You do that by connecting to your source, which is God. He's the source of all love, all light, all truth. all discernment. And you'll feel it in your body. You'll feel it in your heart, in the stillness, in the chambers of the heart. Your heart will tell you what's true and what isn't. Your whole body will tell you what's true and what isn't. So practice it, play with it, get good at it. This was a tiny, tiny little exercise. We could have expanded on it, but that's for another day. I hope you guys have a beautiful rest of your day. I hope that you seek the honest truth, not just the programmed truth, not just truths that are convenient for you, not just truths that are convenient for others, that perpetuate more groupthink. Be willing to unplug from all of that stuff and go straight to the source. And your life will be filled with joy, because God can only give you joy, truth, light, love. Okay, thanks for being here, you guys. Thank you for contributing. That was awesome. I love when you participate and you share your stuff, because it always adds to the conversation. And again, my disclaimer is go get your own truth. I was willing to share what God's teaching me, but go get your own truth and find out what God wants to teach you. What does Father want to tell you? What does he want to share with you? What does he want you to know? How does he want you to grow? And how do you want yourself to grow? Follow your heart. Learn to listen. Okay. All right. There will be a handout. You'll get it in the replay when you click on the description of the video on my YouTube channel, Greater Life, Greater Impact. Have a blessed rest of your day, everybody, and take care. And we'll see you next week. Mwah.